welcome back to Dear Teacher Carina podcast episode 6. I know it's been a while since I uploaded a new podcast, so here I am. I'm back. If you are new here, hi, I'm Carina. I work in the early childhood sector in Singapore from 2019 to 2025. So far, I've talked about how I entered the early childhood sector, what is it like being an assistant teacher, becoming a main teacher, the discussion around extending preschool hours, and why do some preschool teachers eventually leave the industry. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about something that is a big part of being a preschool teacher, which is the parents. More specifically, what is it really like communicating with preschool parents? Because when people think about being a preschool teacher, they usually think about teaching children only. But once you become a teacher, especially the main teacher, you will realize you are not only communicating with children, but also their parents. And sometimes that can be a whole different perspective and experiences. Number 1. Communication is part of the job. As a preschool teacher, communicating with parents is actually very important because parents want to know how their child is doing. Did they eat? Did they sleep? Did they participate in class? Did they interact with their friends? Were they happy today? Did anything happen? And so much other more. And as teachers, we have to communicate these things clearly and professionally. Especially when you are the main teacher, parents usually look for you first when they have questions or concerns. So, you really need to learn how to communicate properly, not just what you say, but how you say it. 2. Not every parent is the same. One thing that I learned is not every parent is the same. Just like F&B and retail customers, every customers are different. Some parents are very easy to communicate with. They trust you, understand that you are doing your best, and they might simply say, "Okay, thanks for letting me know." And honestly, these little words can mean a lot to a teacher. But then, you also have parents who ask a lot of questions. And I think that's understandable too, because this is their child. They want to know what's happening. But sometimes, from a teacher's perspective, it can become quite challenging when there are constant questions, repeated concerns, or expectations that may not always be realistic. Number 3. Difficult conversations. One of the hardest part is probably having difficult conversations with parents. For example, if their child has been displaying challenging behavior, maybe the child has been hitting other children, or having difficulty following instructions, or struggling to communicate with their friends or teachers, maybe you have noticed something about their development that you think the parents should be aware of. As a teacher, you can't just say, "Your child is like this." You have to think carefully about the words, because the last thing you want is for the parents to feel that you are judging their child. Instead, you want the convo to be more like, "This is what we have observed. This is what we are doing in school. How can we work together to support your child even better?" Because ultimately, we are supposed to be on the same team. The teacher and the parent both want the best for the child. Number 4. When parents don't agree with you. What happens when the parents don't agree? This can be very difficult because as a teacher, you have your professional observations and experience. But parents also know their child very well. So sometimes there can be two different perspectives. And I think this is where communication becomes really important. You can't approach the convo as, "I'm the teacher, so I'm right." And the parents shouldn't approach it as, "I'm the parent, so I'm right too." Instead, there needs to be a middle ground. Listen, explain, and clarify. And most importantly, try to understand each other's perspective. Number 5. WhatsApp messages. If you are a preschool teacher, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Because once the parents have your contact, Sometimes the messages don't stop when your working hours end. You might receive a message at night. Teacher, can I check something? Or, teacher, how was my child today? Maybe something that happened during the day suddenly becomes a question at 9 p.m. And as a teacher, you may see the message, but you are wondering, do I reply now? Do I need to reply now? Can I reply this tomorrow? And this is where boundaries become really important. Because we teachers have their own life too. We have families, personal commitments, we need to rest too. And just because we work with children doesn't mean we're available 24 hours. I feel it's perfectly reasonable for teachers to have boundaries when it comes to communication outside working hours. Number 6. When parents complain. And of course, one of the things teachers may fear is receiving a complaint from a parent. Because, let's be honest, even if you have been teaching for years, receiving a complaint can still affect you emotionally. You might start thinking, did I do something wrong? Could I have handled it differently? Did I misunderstand the situation? And sometimes, teachers can take these things personally. But over time, I think we all learn that we have to separate the feedback from our self-worth as a teacher. A complaint doesn't auto mean you are a bad teacher. Sometimes it's simply a misunderstanding, or sometimes expectations wasn't aligned. And sometimes, yes, maybe there's something that we as teachers can improve on. And that's okay too, because we are all humans. We make mistakes. Number 7. The good parent relationship. I also want to talk about the positive side. Because not every parent interaction is difficult. And there are parents who truly appreciate their teachers. Parents who say thank you, who trust you, who work together with you. And sometimes they might send you a simple message saying, thank you for taking care of my child. And honestly, those messages can make your day. Because being a preschool teacher can be tiring. There are days where you're exhausted. There are days where you question yourself. So, when a parent tells you that they appreciate what you're doing, it reminds you that your work does matter. Last but not least, what I learned during my times as an early childhood teacher, you don't have to win every conversation. Sometimes the goal isn't to prove that you are right. The goal is to understand each other. Because at the end of the day, the child is the one we are all trying to support. And I think once you remember that, communication becomes a little easier. You may not always agree, but you can still be respectful. You can still listen, and you can still work together. So, what is it really like communicating with preschool parents? Honestly, it can be rewarding, challenging, emotional, and sometimes stressful. But I think it's also one of the skills that teachers develop the most throughout their career. We learn how to communicate, listen, set boundaries, and how to handle difficult conversations. And also, most importantly, we learn that every parent and every family is different. So, if you are a preschool teacher listening to this, I hope you know that you are not alone. And if you are a parent listening, I hope this gives you a little glimpse into the teacher's side as well. Because at the end of the day, parents and teachers are both on the same team. We are all here because we want the best for the child. And so, that's the end of today's episode. What is really like communicating with preschool parents? Thank you so much for listening. If you are an early childhood teacher, parent, or someone who's been thinking about joining the early childhood sector, I hope you find today's episode useful. And I see you in the next episode. Bye bye!